Warning: the following program contains explanations and illustrations in deep detail of murder, etc.
The bond of friendship. Billy and I were inseparable. Summer days meant endless adventures, our laughter echoing through the woods behind our houses. We built forts, waged imaginary wars, and shared secrets whispered between sips of lukewarm lemonade. Looking back, those days held a certain kind of magic, the kind only found in the carefree realm of childhood. An ordinary summer afternoon, the kind of day where the sun blazes down from a cloudless sky and the air shimmers with heat. The streets are quiet, save for the occasional hum of a lawnmower or the distant laughter of children playing. The trees stand tall and still, their leaves barely rustling in the gentle breeze. It's a day that feels like it could stretch on forever, a perfect canvas for childhood adventures. One scorching July afternoon, I found myself at Billy's doorstep, eager to begin our daily escapade. The sun was relentless, beating down on the pavement and making the air feel thick and heavy. I could feel the sweat trickling down my back as I knocked on the door, anticipation bubbling inside me. Billy and I had a knack for turning the most mundane days into epic quests, and today was no different. His mum greeted me with a warm smile, ushering me inside the cool, dim hallway. The contrast between the scorching heat outside and the refreshing coolness inside was a welcome relief. The hallway was dimly lit, with just enough light filtering through the curtains to cast soft shadows on the walls. It felt like stepping into another world, a sanctuary from the oppressive heat outside. "He's upstairs," she said, her voice a little higher than usual. There was a hint of something in her tone, something I couldn't quite place, but I was too excited to dwell on it. I nodded and made my way towards the stairs, my mind already racing with thoughts of what Billy and I would get up to today. "Just go up, love." I didn't think much of it at the time. Her words were casual, but there was an undercurrent of urgency that I missed in my eagerness. The stairs creaked softly under my weight as I climbed, each step bringing me closer to the familiar chaos of Billy's room. Billy's room, a haven for action figures and comic books, was empty. The room was a testament to our shared love for adventure, with posters of superheroes on the walls and stacks of comic books piled high. But today it felt strangely still, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. I could hear his laughter drifting from down the hall. It was a sound that usually brought a smile to my face, but today it felt different. There was a strain to it, a note of something that didn't quite fit. It was as if he was trying too hard to sound happy, and it set off a small alarm bell in my mind. It sounded strained, different somehow. I paused, my hand hovering over the doorknob, trying to make sense of the unease that was creeping up on me. The laughter continued, but now it seemed almost forced, like a mask hiding something else. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever I might find on the other side of the door. Curious, I followed the sound, stopping short at the bathroom door. My heart was pounding in my chest, a mix of fear and curiosity driving me forward. I could hear the water running and Billy's laughter echoing off the tiled walls. I hesitated, my hand trembling as I reached for the doorknob. What was going on in there? Why did his laughter sound so different? I had to know. I had to find out what was happening behind that door. The closed door. "You can't go in there, mate." Billy's dad stood in the doorway, his tall frame blocking my view. His face, usually etched with a playful grin, was serious, his brow furrowed. "Mummy's having a lie down. She's got a bit of a headache." He didn't move, his gaze unwavering. I mumbled an apology, a strange feeling settling in the pit of my stomach. The air felt heavy, thick with an unspoken tension. The laughter had stopped. A silence hangs in the air, the kind of silence that feels almost tangible, wrapping around you like a heavy blanket. It was the kind of silence that made you hold your breath, afraid that even the slightest sound would shatter the fragile stillness. Billy emerged from his parents' bedroom, his face pale. His eyes darted around the room as if searching for something that wasn't there. He looked like he had seen a ghost. And maybe he had, in a way. The shadows seemed to cling to him, making him appear even more fragile and small. He offered a weak smile, but his eyes held a flicker of something I couldn't quite place. It was a look that spoke of secrets and fears too big for a child to carry. His smile didn't reach his eyes, which were wide and filled with an emotion that made my heart ache. It was fear, I would later realize, raw and unsettling. The kind of fear that leaves a mark that changes you. It was a fear that seemed to seep into the very walls of the house, making the air thick and heavy. It was a fear that I could almost taste, bitter and cold. We retreated to his room, the earlier excitement replaced with a strange quiet. The room, once a place of laughter and games, now felt like a sanctuary from the unknown. We sat in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. The room seemed to close in around us, the walls pressing in with the weight of our shared fear. The house felt different, shrouded in an unnatural stillness. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains seemed amplified in the silence. It was as if the house itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The familiar comfort of the old house was gone, replaced by a sense of foreboding that made my skin crawl. The playful banter that usually filled our days was gone, replaced by a silence that spoke volumes. It was a silence that told of things unseen, of fears unspoken. It was a silence that seemed to echo through the empty rooms, a constant reminder of the unknown that lurked just beyond the edges of our understanding. The house, once filled with the sounds of our childhood, now felt like a stranger, its silence a barrier we couldn't cross. We spent the rest of the afternoon lost in a board game, the unsettling encounter fading into the background. I was young, oblivious to the horrors that could lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. My parents picked me up later that evening, their voices cheerful as they chatted with Billy's mum. She stood on the porch, her face drawn and pale in the fading light. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. The next morning the news spread like wildfire. Billy's mum was dead, murdered. Her husband, the man who had stood so calmly outside the bathroom door, was the prime suspect. He had confessed, they said, his mind unraveling under the weight of his own darkness. The world tilted on its axis. The normalcy of the previous day, the games, the laughter, all seemed a cruel joke in the face of such unimaginable horror. The memory of that day, of the closed door and the unnatural silence, became a haunting presence in my life. It was as if the house itself had absorbed the tension, the fear, and the unanswered questions, holding them within its walls. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind through the cracks seemed to echo with the ghosts of that moment. The door, once just a piece of wood, now stood as a symbol of everything unknown and terrifying. I was plagued by questions, by the chilling what-ifs that clawed at the edges of my mind. Each question was a thread, pulling me deeper into a web of doubt and fear. What if I had acted differently? What if I had been braver, more curious, or more cautious? These thoughts were relentless, gnawing at my peace, turning every quiet moment into a battleground of regret and speculation. What if I had pushed past Billy's dad? The image of him standing there, a silent sentinel blocking my way, replayed in my mind over and over. His stern face, the unspoken warning in his eyes, all seemed to hold a deeper meaning that I was too young to understand. But now, in the clarity of hindsight, I wondered what lay beyond that door, what secrets were kept hidden from my innocent eyes. What if I had seen? The thought was both terrifying and tantalizing. What if I'd caught a glimpse of the truth, of the darkness that lurked just out of sight? Would it have changed anything? Would it have made me stronger, or would it have broken me? The possibilities were endless, each one more haunting than the last. The guilt was a heavy weight, a constant reminder of my unwitting proximity to something so dark and terrible. It was as if I had been standing on the edge of a precipice, unaware of the abyss that lay just beyond my feet. The realization that I had been so close, yet so oblivious, was a burden that I carried with me, a shadow that darkened even the brightest of days. The carefree innocence of childhood was shattered, replaced by an unsettling awareness of the fragility of life. The world, once a place of wonder and adventure, now seemed fraught with hidden dangers and unspoken fears. The broken toy on the ground, the lonely walk through a desolate area, all mirrored the broken pieces of my own innocence, scattered and irretrievable. The memory of that day, of the closed door and the unnatural silence, became a haunting presence in my life, a constant reminder of the fragility of innocence and the weight of unspoken truths. The years have passed, but the memory lingers, a chilling reminder of the day evil touched my life. It's a part of me now, woven into the fabric of my being. It surfaces in the quiet moments, in the shadows that stretch long at the end of the day. I often wonder about the man I might have been had that day unfolded differently. Would I be haunted by the guilt of not doing more, of not seeing what was hidden behind that closed door? Or would the knowledge of what lay beyond have shattered my innocence prematurely, leaving me forever marked by the darkness? These are questions I will never have the answers to, questions that whisper on the wind, forever unanswered.